Hello everybody, welcome back to another review, and today we're going to be reviewing Halloween 2018. So this is the first of Blumhouse's new Halloween trilogy, David Gordon Green's films, co-written by Danny McBride, and I went and saw this one in theaters, actually around the time it came out in October 2018. This is the first Halloween film I actually watched in theaters, so it wasn't a unique experience, and to me, this is the most enjoyable of the trilogy, objectively. I feel like because it's a very traditional Halloween film. Kills is too. It's my personal favorite of this trilogy, but it's still, he's very supernatural towards the end of it. So this is just a straightforward, human Michael film. And yeah, overall, I think I might have spoke about it that I do not like the way that they did Laurie Strode's character. I think in she's a lot better when they're trying to have her process her guilt and try to get past it. She feels more human, but the way now, honestly, I understand that trauma can come in different shapes and sizes, obviously, but like someone said, if we look at her in H2O, this is her after. Just remind you, in H2O, the events of Halloween 1 and 2 were canon. So not only did she lose all her friends, she was hunted through the hospital. She saw like 5 more people. She found 4 bodies, saw someone get lifted up in the air by a scalpel, and then just overall, it makes more sense that she'd be more traumatized in the H2O timeline. Because I'm not saying what Laurie went through in the original wasn't traumatizing. Of course it was. But they kind of make her out to be this Sarah Connor type, really like this great, this like action hero kind of. And she doesn't really feel as natural as she did in H2O, as someone trying to cope with grief and cope with trauma that they faced. I think she was a lot better. And also, I think that I really enjoy Allison's character. I think Andy, the actress who plays her, she does a good job, a really good job as this character, especially in Halloween Ends, and yeah, Kill is pretty good too. But compared to the other two, like children of Laurie that have been in the timelines, obviously Jamie's the best, and then John is better than Karen. I think Karen's the weakest of the three, honestly. So let's get to some things I really enjoy about this film, because I do enjoy the kills. This is a very gory. All three of these films are really gory Michael Myers films. Halloween, Michael Myers is probably some of the most gruesome kills in the whole franchise, besides Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, but which that had a lot of gnarly kills. So, and I think this one did do a good job of setting up a new Halloween trilogy, but it doesn't really follow. I think the other sequels didn't follow through with it. Kills was pretty good, how it took place the same night as Halloween 2018, which kind of is that Halloween 1 and 2 feel. I really enjoy that, but I think Ends really like it's a great. I think it was experimental, but it was not a good way to end the trilogy. But back to some things I really like. The kills. Michael, what is it? The one of the podcasters gets his head bashed in, and after he tries to defend his I think his co-host or girlfriend from Michael, he goes in there and I think his name's Aaron, something like that. He gets his head bashed into the wall. You're bashed in by something, and then we see the mechanic whose teeth has all been ripped out. Michael drops him on top of the co-host stall, and then he breaks her neck, and then which is pretty. It's a lot of Halloween films have that, so that's not really the standout kill. Dr. Sartain, though, he's a character that I'll talk about in a second. His death is pretty gruesome. Whenever Michael just crushes his head with his boot, and just great effects in that. And then even the kill for one of the officers too. They tried to do this joke, I know some of the comedy doesn't land for some people, but these 2 officers in the car talking about their meals. One of their heads gets turned to a jack-o'-lantern by Michael. Just gruesome stuff like that. So yeah, the kills are one great part of this film, and I think that Michael, the way he's treated, is like this when he puts the mask on, he really becomes himself again. And the mask is the best part of this, one of the best parts. After so many sequels of just really bad masks, if you ask me, the only ones in this franchise I really consider good is 1, 2, 6, Rob Zombie's Halloween, and then these. The rest of the masks are pretty bad. but I like the weathering effect they do on it. It's been 40 years since he's wore it, and it's a moment when he puts it back on. Like, it's just this thing for him. Like, he's now finally back to being himself. The mask is, and they kind of play with that too in Halloween Kills, when Karen leads him away with it, and it just shows he actually just like runs after it because he can't really be himself without it. Just an interesting idea. And I think that on side characters, Sartain is a good like alternate Loomis. You think he's gonna try to help people, but he's really just trying to find out why Michael kills. And even before Michael kills him, he's like, just say one word, you know. And he's pretty evil. He ends up slashing the throat of I don't remember. It's the office. He's really interesting. He's I'll have to come back to that. I don't know why I can't remember his name. He's the officer that he eventually builds a connection with Laurie, and we found a really cool backstory about him. I will try to find it before I review Halloween Kills, because he's a really bigger character. But the officer, he slits his throat and then runs him over. Or doesn't slit his throat, but he stabs him or something in the throat, I think, and then runs him over. And you think it kills him, but no, he comes back in Halloween Kills, which, like I said, I'll explain more about his character then, because that's really he's really important in that film. In some parts when he's talking to Laurie, you get a lot of character development with him and her, because they're in the same hospital room. And I also really another character I like. The only side character I actually like is it Julia or not Julia? It's Julius or Julian. He's the kid, the one babysitter's watching. He's good acting, really funny. I think he's an enjoyable character. His babysitter, she gets when Michael's in the closet and she can't close, that's really scary. But the way Julian just runs out of there, respect. He wasn't staying to find out, you know. But still, this another traumatic moment he faces. And another great thing that I didn't bring up is the long shot they do. So once Michael gets out to this house, he kind of calls back to the Elroy's house whenever he gets the knife in Halloween 2. There's a long shot of him just going into a house, killing somebody, walking over to the baby, deciding not to kill it, going to the next place, killing another person. It's just all in one long take. I love that. That's like one of the best shots in this trilogy. It might be the best. So, and the showdown between Michael and Laurie is actually a good one. She gets thrown off the balcony, and when Michael looks down, she disappears, like how he did to her and Loomis in the original. Kind of a nice little parallel there. And, you know, Michael gets trapped in the cellar after getting shot by Karen, and he gets lit on fire, and, you know, he survives. So, you hear the breathing in the credits. And it kind of, I do like the idea that you know, Karen, it was rough on her growing up because Laurie was trying to train her for survival because of what happened to her and Michael Myers. But like I said, like, the way it just feels like, theoretically, when you take away the whole sibling connection, which is the big thing I didn't mention, there's no sibling connection. Laurie and Michael are not brother-sister in these movies, this trilogy. It's basically by chance that he finds Laurie, because Sartain takes him there to try to have a showdown between the survivor of his murders 40 years ago. So theoretically, they may never even ran into each other. And she's basically just another victim to him. I think it's kind of cool how it brings back the whole motiveless thing, but you could have kept the connection. I think you could have kept Halloween 2 canon. You don't have to make the sibling thing right. You could say that was wrong information, misinformation. But the fact that she went through a lot more Halloween 2 really makes it more believable she'd go through all this extra trauma too by this film. To me, that makes it a lot more believable. But overall, for an opening of this trilogy, I think Laurie's even though I don't like the way they made her did some of the writing from her character, I think that Jamie Lee Curtis is great as her. I think Allison's great. I think that James Jude Courtney, who plays Michael, does a great performance. Michael's attire, like the mask, looks great in this film. Kills are great. A couple side characters I like. And that shot, like the long shot's really great. The only negatives I can say about this film is I don't like the way it's written with Laurie a little bit. And I think some of the side characters drag it down. And it takes away the sibling connection, which you could still do, like I said, but make Halloween 2 can. So overall, it's a really good Halloween film. Now, it's not my favorite in this trilogy. Halloween Kills takes that title, but I still feel some nostalgia for this one, but a lot more for Halloween Kills when it comes to that time period where I watched that in the Chucky Season 1, which I'll be talking about that show in a few days. But until then, I love you guys. Take care. Stay blessed. Christ loves you. See you in the next one.